Hello there. Tonight, anyone watching this video, I'd like you to take a moment and think for a second. How fucking crazy is this world? I mean it, like, how fucking crazy is this fucking planet? And I gotta tell you, it is a real insane place. When I observe in the public domain somebody with mental illness, maybe they're, I don't know, shrieking, maybe they're talking bizarre thoughts, maybe they're not all there, they're discombobulated, whatever. To me, I don't see them as the problem. I see them, well, also a symptom as how insane the world actually is. But however, I see them as people who have seen or have experienced too much of negative things because of how insane the world is. You wouldn't believe 20 years back what was considered normal here in Western, supposedly civilized society, um, actually was, and how it's carried on to present day by the people who lived in those generations. Unbelievable the kind of things you see that are, you gotta use some common sense here, but it still all pales in comparison to how fucked up this planet is in so many ways. And people are quite often deceived by phony smiles and fraudulent promises on what exactly things are. And most people don't have anything but the other person's word on what something is. And in previous videos, I have attacked the tourism industry. I think it's a pack of lies, and it most certainly is. It brands and packages things that are inaccurate, despite their flagrant lies and inability to be entirely honest with anybody. And it's all being held together like a playing card pyramid. And society is not as well established as people think. I mean, obviously, you won't hear most people talk about old world ideas and things like that. A lot of people dismiss them as being archaic and dinosaur like. However, there was great wisdom in the thinking of the old. However, it's not without its faults. And I'm seeing the newer generations, the new crops, being brainwashed into thinking along certain lines that are factually incorrect and ultimately benefit the whims of people in the higher echelons of society who know more about things, and they need idiots to act a certain way, go visit certain places, and have a certain set worldview. And they do this with repetition, repetitive, monotone speaking. And only if you grow up and join certain institutions are you truly going to understand the scope of this, because we do not live in a free press society. We don't live in an area where people are actually allowed to speak their minds and things like that. Quite often they're silenced. People use social mechanisms to inhibit anyone from wanting to learn from them or seeing things the way they do. And it can be information that's readily available. However, because of the way social science is, certain ideas are not expressed because they don't go along with the mainstream narrative. There have been people who have said similar things, but I'm saying it here right now. Because there are certain ideas that are being quickly diminished as quickly as possible. And people don't want to hear that the society they've grown up in was fake, a false, nothing true about it, an imagery of something that was inaccurate. And people don't understand if it's beyond their years of being alive, and no one tells them that things didn't always used to be a certain way, and there's a rhythm of change, and it's not actually been for the better. In a lot of instances, things have gotten worse, as a matter of fact. It may seem like they've gotten better, but they haven't. And again, you'll get many people who do not want to hear this. They don't want to because they've been programmed from a certain age that things are a certain way. You take everyone's opinion on Donald Trump. They may know nothing about him, but they'll have a negative impression of him because the television keeps telling them to. You have your reasons for not liking him, fair enough, but if you're going based off of, reading a news headline here and there, and then that's how you establish your opinion, then obviously you're some sort of a halfwit. And, many people are. Many people are plain as hell stupid. They don't have to be. It's just the social construction of their brain, how it's all put together and how they go about their thinking process. That, in a way, they're punishing themselves by having a certain way of thinking. Many have said similar things about me, that, I don't have proper cognitive function, that I don't, can't formulate ideas properly, and I can't express myself in an accurate way. However, this whole new sales pitch has been going on for years. You have to take consideration things take decades to really affect the masses. It's not been for the better. It's to disguise evil right out in public. And I'll use the example of, like my one road, one belt theory, where I believe that the real one belt, one road is heading for the western shores of the United States and Canada. And I believe I did touch base where I was talking about how the Hong Kongers, in the eyes of the Chinese Communist Party, are Chinese and therefore they own them. And it's not exactly like the times of Genghis Khan, but failure to be as successful as possible in the eyes of the Chinese Communist Party, actually conquering these Western cities, like would have been done in medieval times. The failure of that and the promise of the powers that be in the West that have enabled them to arrive under fake pretense. Most of them, go about their business. It's not anything they think about. But when you talk about the money being made, and what it supports, governments long time ago figured out that corruption is inevitable. It's inevitable. When organized systems of making money from nefarious means do occur and will continue to occur, and not only are not enough preventative measures implemented to stop them, they actually guarantee their existence, because that's a rabbit hole right there that you don't really want to go into, but you can at least observe the rabbit hole and explain to people that, like, look, it ain't the way that some bitch paints it. It's not that way at all. And people need to be encouraged to think outside the box rather than be put in the box, which is what's always happened throughout history. And it is no different now. They simply do it in a different manner. I have drawn comparisons. I have a few characters in mind for what a failure of Hong Konger money being brought into Western Canada, and the failure of them being able to bring those resources back to Hong Kong, which goes back to the Chinese Communist Party. Whether they think it or not, there are strictly Chinese patriots that are here to take as much as they can and give nothing back. And they're successful based on the ignorance of many people. It should be well known that there are people that immigrate to here, as Justin Trudeau says, it's one of our greatest strengths. And it's like, no, it isn't actually. It's because of dirty deals and suspicious behavior and, bad money being made. And, he's really pushing it. He pushed it harder than Stephen Harper and harder than the previous ones, notably Jean Chrétien and things like that. But, it's a style of thinking that it's the phony superhero way of thinking, where they're not really the good guys. They're enabling evil to occur. And all they do is put a bumper sticker of a smiley-faced emoticon on it, and all of a sudden it's all better. And it's like, no, asshole, you fucking lied. And you're deceiving the feeble-minded. And there are many, many examples where bad things happen and there could be things done about it, but that doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen because the powers that be don't want it to stop. They don't want dirty money to stop flowing into here. It doesn't benefit the common man. It doesn't benefit anybody, really, except for bad people who don't deserve it. And, I just wish that people would open up their minds and, really understand things for what they are and really, really try to think about it. Anyway, talk to people later. Have a good one.